You know ID in the town all day. ID in the SEA. You know ID in the town all day. ID in the SEA.
Hello and welcome to episode 363 of the fabulous Peltoncast, sponsored by our friends at Pagliacci Pizza. I'm your co-host, Kevin Pelton.
And I'm Tristan Carcino.
And we are coming to you from Renton, Washington, home of the Super Bowl 48 champion Seattle Seahawks.
Hello!
Hello.
And we're kicking off a new search this week.
We are. We are also full of Pagliacci, which Baby Fantasy Genius requested for his birthday party earlier this evening. Yes.
I mean, he's reached 11 years old. He knows the finer things in life.
I don't think I did know the finer things in life by age 11.
Absolutely not.
I'm not sure. Had we had Pagliacci at that point? Did we know it
11 years
just
old?
is
Almost Live.
Yeah.
We knew it at the end of Almost Live. Are we sure he was Pagliacci, right? Did it change to Zeke's?
Maybe by the very end. But yes, you remember we wanted to try to get the Pagliacci sponsored by...
Promotional consideration provided by Pagliacci Pizza.
We wanted to try to grab that off of the audio on YouTube, but it was not high enough quality to put it in here on the pod. But,
only the highest of quality audio on this podcast.
But we are not searching for Seattle's best pizza. We've already found that in our sponsor, Pagliacci.
There we go.
We're kicking off our search for Seattle's best IPA after you acquiesced to this search.
Yep.
You gave in.
Oh, I begrudgingly gave in.
You got tired of fighting. We're doing it by the two sweetest words in the English language, default. But we are going to start our search this week with what I consider the premier IPA in Seattle. Like, as I start this search, and obviously, look, every search this happens, we're going to learn a lot about ourselves, about IPAs, maybe how IPAs are made. I feel like we have probably a better handle on that than donuts.
I do not.
Oh, no. I was surprised to learn that all donuts aren't vegan.
Wait, really?
Mildly. Just hadn't really thought about it. Anyways, we actually have two beers here from our friends at Georgetown Brewing.
Not 2 beers.
No,
not from 2 beers.
Not from 2 beers. Not this week. From Georgetown Brewing. So the Lucille is their older IPA. I would say kind of perhaps their flagship IPA.
Oh.
And then at some point...
I want to cry so bad. But I don't think I can spare the moisture.
I didn't know where you were going with that one until you went there. And then at some point, they came in with their Point Break series. You've got the Johnny Utah Pale Ale and the Bodhisattva IPA.
So the Johnny Utah is not eligible.
It's a pale ale, so it is not eligible. That's
it
what
has
we
to
do
be
for
an
a search
India
for Seattle's
Pale Ale.
Best pale ale.
Can I already cancel the search?
I did offer that we could search for pale ales.
The 2 beers were in front of you. Bodhi, Johnny Utah. I feel like I'm going Johnny Utah every time. Am I wrong about that?
Well, that's what's interesting about the start of this search. It's funny because IPAs are my favorite style of beer. They're not for you, but we're not doing search for Seattle's best sour.
I like IPAs. That's not a question. I'm a person who likes to drink a lot of beers, and this is more an IPA is for a person who likes to drink a few beers. Does that make sense?
100% it does.
A beer.
And so, I am said person.
By the time I'm getting to 3 or 4 or 7 of these, then all of a sudden you look back and you're like, maybe I shouldn't have been drinking IPAs that whole time.
There's a time and place for everything, and that is a time and place for Rainier Tall Boys.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what I find funny about this is I simultaneously say that Bodhisattva is, again, my pre-tournament favorite IPA. It's also probably number 3 on my list of Georgetown beers. Even though IPA is my favorite style of beer.
After what? Manny's and Johnny Utah.
Yeah, because I think what makes Georgetown's pale ales so remarkable is the fact that they are as full flavored and hoppy as IPAs without the gravity of an IPA or the
Johnny
the
Utah is
ABV.
incredible. I would take Bodhi over Manny's probably.
I mean, Manny's
if
is
I'm
just
choosing
such a
one,
classic.
If I'm choosing one beer.
But that's why I'm curious to do it. The other reason I'm curious to do this, like head to head, I don't remember when the first time I had Lucille was, but I recall not enjoying it.
Okay.
And was like actively avoiding Lucille for a long period of time. So the question is, was that me? Did I have a bad batch and I just overrated it? And we're going to find out because we're going to drink the Lucille first on this podcast, and then we're going to go to the Buddies Offa. But first,
What could a Lucille cost?
What is it, $10?
$10?
It's one banana, Michael. We're going to do this the entire pod because that will be delightful if so. Their description of these two beers, the Lucille, is floral, citrusy, and awesome. Anything so innocent and built like that just got to be named Lucille. But presumably it's also named for the east-west arterial running through the heart of Georgetown, a couple blocks away from Georgetown Brewery. This one has Columbus, Cascade, Simcoe, Citra, and Comet hops. I guess I'll save the Bodhi description for when we come back mid-pod and talk about what we're thinking about the Lucille and start drinking the Bodhi. So
I think we got to drink them back to back.
What do you mean?
I'm not going to remember what this tastes like by the time I get to the next beer.
By the time you drink a half a beer, you're not going to remember what it tastes like?
I don't think so.
That's perplexing to me.
Okay, let's see how it goes.
Let's get to our toasts, starting with, obviously, Peltoncast MVP award voting. It's out, an emotional pregame ceremony where Talkin' Taco Time received 2023 Peltoncast MVP, joining the illustrious ranks of the famous Cousin Katie, who held this for 3 years, and the Kraken Curse, which was awarded in 2022.
Wow, Katie's really kind of in a slump.
She is.
It's been a while since Katie's been Peltoncast MVP. She rarely comes on the Peltoncast. She had a minor powerhouse performance last time.
That's why she's still got 33%. She appeared on one podcast all year, as you were complaining about on Twitter, as quoted by @PeltonQuotes the other day. Talking Taco Time received 40% of the votes. Katie was at 33%. You were at 15%. I was at 13%.
You do so much work for this podcast. Every week, editing, making notes.
I don't do it for the awards.
For nothing. Nothing in response, just to get voted against.
I do it for the for our team to win the championship, and that championship is a sold-out Peltoncast Live at Belltown Yacht Club.
Here's the thing, though. As we crown Talkin' Taco Time the champions or the MVPs of Peltoncast 2023, we also are the champions because we're on Talkin' Taco Time. There it is. You wanted to vote against us, but you voted for us, motherfuckers. We win in the end.
We have to share this 4 ways with Chris and Randy.
I'm okay with that.
And all the Talkin' Taco Time co-hosts. And really frankly with Alicia Vermillion and the King 5, the evening magazine. All of them shared in this. But
suck it, Katie.
Look, I voted for Talkin' Taco Time. It was... I don't necessarily want to say it was a career year for Talkin' Taco Time because we'll see. But I also don't know how we would top this exactly. So...
How could we top this Talkin' Taco Time? Talkin' Taco Time, the movie? There's all sorts of ways to top this.
Talkin' Taco Time, the musical?
The musical? Talkin' Taco Time Unplugged? There are all sorts of options. We could franchise a Taco Time.
I don't think that's going to happen. We still have to start my bar first.
What is the name of your bar? Kevin Pelton's bar?
Owl's Place?
Owl's Place?
I don't know. I'm not sure what the name it is.
No, it's Kevin Pelton Tap Room. Something like that, right? Kevin Pelton's Tap Room.
I think we had a better name for it than that.
I think that was it. Just simple, subtle. 13% of the vote.
You got to really appeal
to
those 13%.
Build the hype around
of the
13% of the vote
in this poll. Well, I got to say, Katie did respond in MVP fashion on Twitter with a statement last Saturday, the day of the coronation. Quote, just stopping by Elon's hellscape to let @Talkin' Taco Time know they are a weak monarch in a dangerous interregnum. I'll be back.
I don't know what interregnum means. Do you?
It's like a period between things. It's like a transitional period. I'm pretty sure.
I'm impressed with Katie for knowing the word. It's an MVP-like word, right?
It is an MVP tweet in every sense. A period when normal government is suspended, especially between successive reigns or regimes, an interval or pause between 2 periods of office or other things. So hopefully we as a country are not in an interregnum.
I think we might look back and realize.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Well, let's hope this is the only interregnum we're dealing with and that I'm pronouncing that word correctly. Next up, congrats to the OL Reign on earning their 100th regular season NWSL win in franchise history on Saturday. The rival Portland Thorns were the first to get there, currently with 102.
Ooh, I hate those Thorns.
But not as much as San Diego Wave, who are at like 12, I think.
Yeah, screw you, San Diego.
well-
You're the Kevin Pelton MVP vote of the NWSL.
Well, no other NWSL team has more than 89. Next up, congrats to Kraken coach Dave Hackstall, who was named a finalist for the NHL's Jack Adams Award for Coach of the Year.
There we go. Honoring, of course, the coach that we've all heard of, Jack Adams, before. Everybody remembers their legacy when they coached for the Maple Leafs? Or Bruins?
The only person to have won a Stanley Cup as a player, head coach, and general manager. It was a 36-year association with the Detroit Red Wings.
Oh!
I mean, look, you probably had a 6-team. It was a 1 in 6 chance. You could have assumed it was going to be an original 6.
Let me just say, I've been watching a lot more hockey, just the third periods lately, and
Wow, he was 1 year off playing the Metropolitans in the Stanley Cup Finals. He played in 1918
wow.
against the Vancouver Millionaires.
The Vancouver Millionaires?
Apparently, that was the team. I don't know.
That was a lot of money at the time.
I mean,
Millionaire? Well, that's the most money I've ever heard. What a terrible team name. No wonder they don't exist anymore. Anyway.
oh, he also played for the Millionaires, as it turns out.
Oh.
At that point, they were the Toronto Arenas.
This was pre-Maple Leafs?
Yeah.
What is an arena? Just like the building?
I think so. I don't. Yeah, it was operated by the owner of Arena Gardens, the Toronto Arena Company. So there you go.
Man, I don't think they were great at naming stuff back then.
No, they weren't. Not as good as we are. That's for sure.
Nobody can top the Thunder. Is there another person on the broadcast? Not another person. Is there a person on the broadcast also with the last name Hackstall?
I don't think so.
Am I hearing this wrong every single time? I swear they're like, we're going to so-and-so Hackstall on the broadcast. Am I totally off here?
I think it's just the Olcheks are the only family members on the broadcast, and they're strictly on the broadcast side.
Like announcing the game.
No, on ESPN's broadcast,
Yeah.
Leah Hackstall, no relation. It's spelled totally differently.
Okay.
Yes, okay. You
but it's
are on to
pronounced
something.
the same.
It is pronounced
It
the
is
same.
very confusing for me.
Yes. Okay, that's
Hackstall
fair.
is literally the first time I ever heard this name was Dave Hackstall. And then there's another person on the broadcast, right?
But there's also like a more famous Hackstall, isn't there, in hockey? Am I remembering this
Wow,
incorrectly?
her name is spelled way differently.
very differently.
Even his name, I think I had it in my head totally wrong.
Yeah, Ron Hackstall is the famous hockey player / executive who's also no relation, spelled differently than Dave Hackstall, the Kraken coach.
Is he relation to Leah, though? I think so, right?
I don't think so, actually, but I'm not sure.
How common is this name in hockey? This is like the Toronto Arenas of hockey.
The real question here, though, we have to find out is, did Ron Hextall win the Jack Adams Trophy?
I'm sure he did.
You would think so.
It's pronounced Hextall, though.
Yes. I'm not seeing it here.
Can I review this, Lucille?
Yes.
It's fine.
I don't think it's as good as the Bodhi. I mean, we haven't started drinking it yet, but I'm pretty confident it is not.
I don't think this is a competitor for Seattle's best IPA.
I agree with that. Oh, Leah Hextall is Ron Hextall's cousin.
Okay.
So there we go. They are related. I did not expect to take that detour on this particular podcast.
I've been hearing it on the broadcast.
All right, lastly, we got an listener Instagram this week, DM, from Matt Myers, who was at tonight's Kraken game that we'll talk about a little later. The Peltoncast hat trick is elusive tonight. At the Kraken game, has the Rainier Tall Boy in hand, pictured for size.
It says extra large Rainier Tall Boy. Is that a 24 ounce?
Yeah, that does look like it's a 24 ounce.
I think that counts as a Deuce Quattro.
Yeah.
Okay.
Still applies certainly to the Peltoncast hat trick, but Doughjoy donuts did not get delivered today, so unable to do the Peltoncast hat trick at tonight's Kraken game.
No Doughjoy donuts. Well, I guess I don't know. I don't know if they make donuts specifically on off days for the Kraken typically.
I am not sure about that either. Obviously, I have not attended a lot of Kraken games this season. So.
It was close. The opportunity is still out there, possibly
competing.
Game 6.
Keep competing, yes. All right. With that, I think it's time for your favorite segment.
Don't burn yourself. We got Mariners hot takes coming at ya.
Short one this week. But earlier today, we were reminded that as nice as Jose Caballero has been, the swag is back. Don't you forget, bitches. He is not the same. He is a Martian. We saw what swag does best, turning a single into a double and another single into a run. His skill set cannot be duplicated, not be replicated, not be superlified. So Caballero just might be the next best thing, but not quite Haggerty.
Wait, Sam Haggerty only had one hit tonight. How did he both turn it? He turned it into a double and then a run?
Yeah.
Okay.
He turned a single into a double.
I see.
And from second base on another single, he scored again.
Okay. Well, there we go. Raised his average to 103 on the season.
Hey, don't you dare.
Caballero had a 5-game hit streak snap today. He was playing shortstop. Sam Haggerty
this
at
is
second.
not a negative perspective about Caballero. These are very different skill sets.
Oh, unquestionably. I mean, the concern for Haggerty is more when Dylan Moore is back available to come into the lineup.
Dylan Moore's quick. Sam Haggerty is a different level of player than
100%.
those two players are. He is electric on the base
And
paths.
the Mariners have been missing that. I tweeted last week after, was it Teoscar Hernandez that got thrown out at second base? Oh yeah, it was like that was him trying to get to second when they were down 2 runs in the 9th, I think. And it was like, I remember when Chaos Ball used to be positive for the Mariners.
Good thing.
And it was like, it has not been lately. It just feels like, even though they're playing better of late, just kind of sloppy defensively sometimes, and not creating a lot on the base paths the same way they were last season. So
They needed Haggerty. Like, the hit that he had kept the inning going, set them up for the first runs that were scored in the game. This was like, it felt old school. Like, he was part of the action again, and it's been a while.
it has been a while. You have to get on base to be part of the action.
He hasn't hit that many times. How many at-bats does he have? Like 19 on the year?
It's a
We're
little
giving
more than
Colton Wong a lot of grace that we're not giving to Sam Haggerty right now.
that. 29 at bats now on the
Yeah,
season.
29 at-bats. Like, that is not enough time. Look, we're giving Julio Rodriguez a lot of grace that we're
Well, I
not
was going
giving
to say,
Sam
do we
Haggerty
want
right
to have
now.
the Julio conversation?
He's fine. Julio's hitting the ball hard.
He had the longest home run of his career. on
That really
Saturday.
was?
454 feet per Statcast.
The one on Sunday?
Yeah, or on Sunday. Yeah.
Holy I remember some really long. The one in San Diego wasn't longer?
I don't know that specifically.
That was 4th of July in San Diego, right?
That sounds right.
I love when people are like,
They said that 450 was his longest previous.
I'm shocked. I mean, he crushed the ball. I love when people are like, as the weather gets warmer, the ball's going to start going farther. And it's like, the good news is only going to happen for us.
Yeah.
We're the only team hitting.
Well, I got to say, this probably do some regression for the mean. I also saw on the broadcast, I did not duplicate this or verify it, but the Mariners pitching staff is number 1 in WAR in baseball this season.
I don't think they're lying.
I unlikely, no.
This is the entire pitching staff or just starting pitching?
I think the entire pitching staff.
I mean, look, there was a different take that I was going for, which is, it was kind of hot. It was kind of sizzling. I'm not going to bring it out yet. I'm going to save it, put it in my back pocket, but it's there and I've been thinking about it. It has to do with the pitching staff,
Okay.
especially the young pitching staff.
I mean, it's been a good week. Bryce Miller, another 6-inning start, gave up 1 run in his second career start against the Astros, which is, I was complaining about the Mariners failing to score off of the Astros starter, JP France, I believe, who was making his major league debut. And we had the first batter pitcher, same name, same last name, that's also the name of a country combination since the Jordans in 1998, I believe it was.
Wait, who is this?
Who did it before?
I don't even understand the words you're saying.
So JP France, I believe it was, started for the Astros on Saturday. He faced Ty France of the Mariners. They have the same last name, and that name happens to be the name of a country.
Fair enough. I don't understand the question.
It's a very
and
specific
I
stat.
won't respond to it.
But shouts to Alex Mayer of Mariners PR who had that one. He comes up with some gems, just some dynamite stuff. I gotta say, I forget what it was today. Oh, today was the last time the Mariners had hosted a team from the same metropolitan area as a team that was playing a playoff game in another sport in Seattle. Because they were playing the Rangers today.
What was the last
Kraken were playing the Stars. 1998 when the Sonics played the Timberwolves in the first round of the playoffs and the Mariners were playing the Twins.
We're hosting the Twins? All right.
So just
fair enough. That's a good one.
Just terrific work, I gotta say. Then Logan Gilbert perfect for 6 innings on Monday in a game the Mariners still lost.
I mean, Logan Gilbert took the loss in the game.
Yes, he gave up the 2 runs in the 7th. I told you this offline last night. It was about the shortest possible time between me learning on press row at the Storm game that Logan Gilbert had a perfect game through 6 innings to looking at the box score and seeing that he had given up a hit immediately to start the 7th inning. Saturday, though, you missed this because you were in LA, but Saturday was like a real emotional roller coaster with the Mariners having lost on Friday night, having come back to tie it, then a 2-run homer for the Astros to win it on Friday night, then have not scored going into the 8th inning on Saturday, and that was maybe the beginning of the chaos ball, even though this was all just kind of station to station hitting, but a series of consecutive hits that resulted in 7 runs for the Mariners in the 8th inning after having not scored all game.
It's just nice when there are runs.
Yeah.
I just like it when there are runs at all.
That was also a perfect 1-2-3 debut, I believe, for Juan Ten, who was called up to join the bullpen last week. Yeah.
It's interesting that the pitching staff has been as good as they've been. And aside from Kirby and now Miller, I don't remember a time that a pitcher has pitched well. You
don't remember a time that Luis Castillo has pitched well?
There have been times that Luis Castillo has pitched well. But it doesn't feel like the team is pitching that well, all things considered.
I mean,
do you agree with that?
No, I don't. I think that
it's not like
watch the team. Started the season on fire, and then we just talked about these 2 amazing starts from Bryce Miller. We also had the
maybe it just takes a few starts.
The Easton McGee start last week.
They've had some very lucky. Who's the dude who got DFA'd right after? Not Easton McGee, but the other player.
Oh,
the footnote in history.
Malone, Tommy Malone.
Yeah, Tommy Malone.
Not Ron Malone, no relation. Yeah, I mean, I think it's the absence of, other than the Chris Flexen starts, not a lot of real bad starts in there, I think goes a long way for you. So, I mean, the stat I did have that I looked up on Julio, his OPS didn't climb over 700 for good until May 19th last year. So I don't know that I necessarily buy that specific players or follow the same trends over the course of seasons, but at the very least, it shows that Julio can start slowly and still have an altogether amazing season because of the fact that he has the capability to be that dominant over an extended period of time, if that makes sense.
Just offering a lot of grace to Julio Rodriguez that we're not offering to Sam Haggerty here.
Again, that was to get over 700. Sam Haggerty's still looking to get his OPS over 200. There are levels to this.
Hard hit ball percentage, hard hit ball rate is down.
Yeah, we talked about
a little
that
bit.
Last week.
Line drive percentage is higher, which I still think is what you're looking for. Striking out a little bit more, homering a little bit less, walking out the same. I mean, the batting average on balls in play is really the main thing.
Right, and that's going to regress to the mean, almost certainly.
Hitting a few more fly balls versus ground balls. Julio has not had the seeing eye ground ball singles yet.
Right.
Which he's going to have some of.
I feel like a lot of players on the Mariners are looking for some of those CNI signals.
I mean, they got a couple of them today. It's like the shift only happens against the Mariners. I swear to God, they're letting the shift happen for all these other teams. These motherfuckers are definitely shifting.
So apparently the other thing they're considering is, I forget what the term was that they used for it, but basically limiting how close to second base you can play. Mm-hmm. Because now you can still, against a right-handed hitter, station your second baseman like basically on second base, or against a left-handed hitter, your shortstop basically on second base. So you see all these balls back up the middle that, like, in our brains from 1993, we're trained to think, oh, back up the middle, that's going to be a hit. But still now, even with the limitations, there's someone shifted directly in that spot.
No,
and it turns out, oh, then that guy's just going to step on second base, and it's going to be an unassisted double.
It really sucks that hitting the ball up the middle is bad now.
Yeah. So that's one of the things. Ben Lindbergh had a nice piece on The Ringer last week about the changes have had the desired effect
start
in terms
pulling away defensive players. Now there's 6 defensive players.
Power plays?
Yeah. In this inning, they only get 3.
They've had the desired effect in terms of game time, but have not yet necessarily increased the value of putting the ball in play, or at least increased the amount that teams are putting the ball in play as opposed to striking out, which
Sometimes
is something else
you ever
they
feel like
want.
the game time's a little too fast?
No, I love it.
It is. The game time is very quick, but all of a sudden you look up and you're like, God damn!
It's already
the 8th inning.
Yeah.
Like, we just got here.
I love it. Anything else in the Mariners? Well, let's talk about the Kraken, who are now tied 2-2 through 4 games against the Dallas Stars. They lost Game 2 4-2, then came back home and dominated the Stars 7-2 in Sunday's Game 3, scoring 5 goals in the second period alone, including the game's first 4 goals in a span of less than 6.5 minutes for the biggest playoff win in franchise history. And I got to say, maybe my favorite period of hockey ever in the Kraken.
Forever.
I mean, it's either that. I don't have as strong a memories of the 2012 or 11 Canucks run as you do. It's got to be either that or...
I don't remember a specific period of the...
No. Overtime against the Avalanche in Game 7. Like, those are the options, right? Just a lot of pauses on this podcast for you thinking about things.
This, to me, was the most fun Kraken playoff game ever.
There you go.
When you score a goal every time you shoot, hockey is easy.
Right.
It's
fun.
like one of those situations when the weather gets warm and the balls only fly further for you.
Yeah.
It was goal after goal. Honestly, I will have to say, it was very fun. We didn't see the darkness, though. And that's the problem.
You could say that you maybe saw the darkness in the first period, where Dallas definitely seemed to have control of things. And
I famously don't watch the first period.
That is true. That's amazing you tuned in for the second period.
I got there right on time.
Just perfectly on schedule.
There was no darkness,
were you out getting
though.
food?
No, I think I was watching. I was watching basketball, I think.
Oh, I guess yeah, that's right. There was an overlap to start that one.
I think I was watching the Nuggets and the Suns game. Yeah. But the ranking for me is like third period hockey beats out almost anything, but almost anything else beats out first period hockey. Dodgers Padres on Sunday Night Baseball. I'm like, yeah, I'll tune into that. Anyway, we would have had the Kraken pulled off the victory earlier tonight, where they were down 5-1.
Oh, that would have been old time seeing the darkness.
It would have been the greatest playoff win in Kraken history, out of all of the many playoff wins in Kraken history. But
I mean, Game 7 on the road is still going to be pretty tough to beat.
Coming back 5-1 in the third period, it would have been an incredible performance. So when you win, I'm just like, this is great. But also, I barely watched the third period because I'm like, I'm good, y'all.
You missed a lot of fighting.
Yeah.
There were so many penalties.
Fighting is fun when it's close and tense, and when one team is up 7-2 or whatever. It's just like, all right, let's move it along here, folks. Let's get the pitch clock going.
Nobody get hurt and nobody gets suspended. That's the important.
Those are the situations when the pitch clock makes a lot. I'm like, let's have the shift. Let's get the pitch clock going. Turn it on for that when the game isn't close.
I don't know what the shift is in hockey. I mean, the similar analytical kind of gameplay effect in hockey has been pulling the goaltender earlier. And yet still on the broadcast, we heard about like what a big gamble it was for the Kraken to pull their goaltender with 4 minutes left in this game, down 2 goals. And it's like, what's the downside here? Which they did give up an empty net goal eventually.
Yeah, but okay.
Yeah.
Like the difference between losing 6-3 and 5-3 or whatever, not scoring literally does not matter.
It does not. There's no run differential factor here. There's no fun differential. There's no run differential. None of it.
It just kind of sucks to watch somebody score against an empty net. That's
Yes.
it. But it's also fun to score. People don't ever balance that. Is there like advanced hockey analysis that people should be pulling the goalie like all the time?
I mean, I don't know about all the time.
But like you get a little lull in the second period, boom, pull the goalie for a few minutes.
No, I think it's more like basically like when people asked me for a long period of time, how many threes should teams be shooting? And my answer was always like five more, just five more. So like, when teams, I don't know, and I haven't watched enough hockey to know specifically when teams would have pulled the goalie traditionally.
Five
but
more.
like pull him 2 minutes earlier, basically, is the logic that I got behind it.
How often do you score a goal when you've pulled the goalie versus giving up a goal? Like, do you score? What do you think happens?
Oh, you score.
more often?
You give up a goal way more often. Obviously, that's why teams play with a goaltender. Otherwise, if all you had to do
More
was get rid of the goaltender, like we'd play. Why don't they make the whole plane out of the black box? That's the downside. That's why teams don't do it earlier than they do. But conceding the goal, as you say, means nothing in that situation. Whereas scoring a goal all of a sudden means you got a real game on your
But
hands.
if Dallas is down 7-2 in the third period of the game, they're like, we changed our.
Should
goal.
they have played the entire third period without a
Why
goal?
not?
So
Is it demoralizing? Like, I'd rather if I was a coach have my team lose 15-2, and then I could be like, you motherfuckers lost 15-2. What are you going to do next game?
I feel like there might be a cumulative fatigue effect on your skaters because now you're playing 20 minutes with an extra skater as opposed to 4 minutes with an extra skater. And
But you rotate those players in and out.
yeah, but still, like,
A little bit of brawling in there. You know what I mean?
the reason you have lines is because you want to keep players fresh and rotated through. If you have one more player out there, that's fewer players to choose among.
You're telling me hockey is exhausting.
I am telling you that.
Okay. Plus the fighting, too.
Yes,
Okay.
takes a big toll. The hits.
Fair enough. I do think that people should be much faster and looser with pulling the goalie, though.
So the real question is whether you should be pulling your top line in that situation,
What do you mean?
like just resting them for the next game once you're down enough. Like I don't know if that concept exists in the NHL though, in hockey the way it does in basketball, where LeBron is going to spend the fourth quarter on the bench because the Lakers are down 20 in game 2 or up 20 in game 3.
You think
So-
they just haven't figured it out? Like NFL teams haven't figured out protecting first-round picks?
Well, NHL teams have not seemed to figure out tanking. They're just not. They don't seem to be doing.
Oh,
that.
I saw some tweets and some Reddit posts earlier
Well,
that seemed
okay.
to imply. I didn't understand any of them, but I saw them.
Or at least strategically resting your players in the last week of the regular season. They're certainly not. There seems
They
to be
haven't
more
figured
of
They haven't Dame Lillard anybody?
I don't think it's not that they haven't figured it out. I think it's that there's more of a sense of like the good of the game. That like that shit's long gone in the NBA. That's never coming back.
Yeah. I mean, football's kind of like that. Nah.
It is to a much higher degree than basketball.
But they
Basketball
will.
is
There's
the
some
most
games
extreme.
where you look at some of the players who are playing and
Sure.
you're like, nobody's actually injured. It's so easy to claim that somebody's injured. Basketball just does it for like months at a time.
And yet, the Houston Texans still win their final game to not end up with the
Are the
number one pick.
ratings better for basketball? What is doing better right now, hockey or basketball? They're basically head to head.
The NBA still rates better.
It's crushing the NHL.
I don't know
ratings-wise.
about crushing, but
The other thing is that I have no idea what's going on in any of the other hockey. I couldn't tell you at all. I could barely tell you. I know that the Golden Knights are playing against Edmonton.
that's correct.
That's the other Western Conference matchup.
yes.
I fucking nailed it. In the Eastern Conference, I think the Florida Panthers are still playing.
The Florida Panthers are ahead 3-0 in their series.
I saw that, yes, to somebody.
Toronto,
Okay, they were the ones who were playing Toronto.
not the Arenas.
And then the Devils are still in it.
The Devils are trailing Carolina 3-1
Oh, the
in that
Canes.
series.
Okay.
The Edmonton series, Vegas now leads 2-1. I did not realize that.
I saw they really crushed Edmonton in the last game.
So,
But in the NBA, I know generally what's going on in every series. Whether I have seen 0 seconds of Knicks Heat, but I sort of know what's happening.
not a lot of baskets for the New York Knicks, that's for sure. So some good news for the Kraken. Jared McCann returned to the lineup for Game 4 after missing 6 games with his injury in the Colorado series.
What about this question? Or was it? Yeah.
You think
Things went quite well during the 6 games that Jared McCann wasn't there.
I don't think the Ewing theory applies here. He was part of the fourth line with Ryan Donato and Brandon Tanev replacing Daniel Sprong in that group after I think Sprong had not returned to Game 3 at some point. Game 5 coming up Thursday in Dallas at 6:30 p.m. Pacific on TNT. Game 6 will be back here in Seattle on Saturday night, 4 p.m. on ESPN.
Okay.
And somebody's season is going to be on the line.
Saturday night.
Yeah.
I like it.
Let's talk quickly about the Bodhisattva.
Way better than Lucille. If we're ranking them right now, it's Bodhi number 1.
This IPA gets its light, silky texture from rolled oats. The flavor and aroma both express mandarin and citrus all around. Over 5 pounds of hops per barrel makes this IPA truly Bodhilicious. Gold medal winner in the American Style IPA category at the Great American Beer Festival in 2016. The hops here are Chinook, Citra, Mosaic, and Columbus.
It's richer, more flavorful. The Lucille's a little sharp.
Yes. And just like powerful hops in the body, like as they promised. So
it's number 1 now.
We will see how it compares
in the
as
ranking.
we go along. But
Yeah.
It's nice to confirm my priors.
Probably going to be such a clear bracket. Probably the best bracket you've ever seen. The clearest, best bracket of all time. Nobody's going to be making it up on the fly.
It's a perfectly normal bracket. Find a new slate. Let's talk about the Sounders, who suffered a shocking home loss to previously winless Sporting Kansas City on Sunday. The home shutout streak ended in the 4th minute on an early Kansas City goal. Sporting KC later added a second in the 31st minute to take a 2-0 lead. Sounders pulled one back on Nico Lodero, converting a penalty in the 66th minute, but couldn't find the net again or really even control play in the late stages. Now, both Kansas City goal scorers were designated players who have recently returned from injuries, but still this was nearly as many goals as the 3 they had scored in their previous 10 MLS matches combined. The Sounders inexplicably had the better of the shot-based expected goals according to Soccer Power Index, so it's tough to say exactly how much stock to put into this one. The Sounders remained atop the Western Conference standings thanks to LAFC suffering their first loss of the season while St. Louis had the weekend off. Sounders continue U.S. Open Cup play Wednesday at the LA Galaxy before traveling to Houston for a match on Saturday. The Dynamo are 5th in the West in points per match. Could actually surpass the Sounders in that regard with a win, but just a +2 goal differential thus far as compared to +9 for the Sounders. That Houston game starts a stretch of 3 MLS regular season matches in 8 days for the Sounders, which seems to imply that we're going to see another lineup of reserves and maybe even some call-ups from the Tacoma Defiance again in the U.S. Open Cup. Probably not until the next round until we'll see the Sounders really run out a first-choice lineup in that tournament, even though they are now facing another MLS opponent after dispatching of San Diego Loyal SC, which, did you see, San Diego apparently set as an expansion team to join MLS, but it's not going to be the Loyal. It's going to be a separate franchise.
Oh!
Yeah, so
Poor Loyal.
tough break for the Loyal.
San Diego's coming to the MLS, though.
They are.
The 56 franchise.
Someone suggested, John Hollinger suggested this on Twitter, that they be the San Diego Anchormen.
That's actually a pretty good name.
And then you could, the
1910s or whatever in hockey could never.
he came up with a trident as their logo, and I think that is also hilarious. The Mariners attorneys will be in touch.
Yeah.
So
that's also a pretty good idea, though.
Oh, it's so perfect. I can't believe I hadn't thought of that.
Literally, how many teams are there in MLS, though?
We've gone over this, haven't we? I feel like we do this every week. How many softball teams are in the Pac-12, and how many teams are in Major League Soccer? But I need to double check it. We're closing in on 31, maybe.
They have to do promotion and relegation. This is just like, it's getting out of hand. They will keep expanding and never change this perspective.
29.
29? That's actually not... I mean, it's a lot of teams.
Yeah.
It's just they've expanded to really weird places. Are there like big cities that they don't have?
I would have to do some research on what's the biggest city that MLS does not have. I mean, I think inevitably, if you get up to 30, like at some point it flattens out. Like there's not that big of a difference between San Diego and I don't know who's a city that doesn't have an MLS team. Pittsburgh.
Houston is the name.
Literally just said the Sounders are playing there this weekend. I think. Well, they do have multiple teams in LA and in New York as well, so that doesn't explain it. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll crunch the numbers on
Tampa previously had one that doesn't have one.
Tampa is a pretty big place, isn't it? I mean, they have almost every other sport.
Right. So.
All right. That's not that big of a city. I thought it was going to be like, wow, they forgot to put a team in Chicago.
No, they've got a team there.
Damn.
Have the whole time.
I feel like every single major American and Canadian city is covered with a soccer team, a MLS team, but somehow we can't think of a major place that doesn't have one.
I mean, Vegas.
Yeah, that'll happen. They're going to have every team in Vegas. It's too hot to play soccer there.
It seems so, yes. Although the Sounders did play the final of the Leagues Cup there a few years ago.
Oh, and I cared a lot. Look, we have to care about the Leagues Cup. We have to care about the Leagues Cup.
Sometimes I forget these running jokes that we have. OL Reign beat Houston 2-0.
You don't care about the Leagues Cup, it'll go away.
On Saturday for that 100th league victory that we talked about earlier. Had a goal called back due to a handball by VAR in the 13th minute, went into halftime break scoreless, but then took the lead in the 53rd minute through the Veronica Latsko, then doubled it through a Jordan Heidema header of a Latsko cross 15 minutes later. A win in a Portland draw at Washington moved OL Reign into first place in the NWSL. Thorns still have a better goal differential, but the two Northwest teams are in a class of their own thus far. Reign will travel to North Carolina to face the Courage on Sunday. Courage right in the middle of the NWSL pack with 7 points from 6 games.
There isn't a team in like Charlotte or like Raleigh, is there?
Charlotte, yes, is one
of the expansion teams.
Yeah, I think that was talked about. No, they're in the league now. They are in the league.
Currently in the league. See, we don't even know.
Because I was like, does David Tepper own that team? I feel like they play in. Yeah, he does own that team.
There's no other sport, like American major professional sport, where we just don't know the teams.
Well, they keep adding them.
It's like, oh, fuck, I forgot about the Texans. I couldn't remember that the Raiders existed.
They have not had an expansion team since 2019.
MLS?
No.
They got like 12 on the line coming.
They don't have a list of future teams that I'm seeing anymore at this point.
They have a team in Cincinnati?
They do.
Literally.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure that we hear that. I swear you're lying when you say it's only 29.
Sacramento was supposed to come in 2023 as the 30th team.
Are they not coming anymore?
They are not coming at this point, no.
And San Diego is going to be the 30th team.
Placed on indefinite hold. That part of it has not yet been announced, but that's the rumor, at least, that San Diego is getting a team.
Oh, that's not official.
They have not yet announced it.
Okay.
But I think it's been reported that it's happening.
Okay.
All right, Seattle Storm opened preseason play Monday with a 75-71 loss to the Phoenix Mercury. Or the 77-71, I guess, was the final. There were 2 more free throws. Storm led throughout the first half with Phoenix's starters on the court, but then were outscored 24-12 in the third period when the Mercury went to the bench. Storm did stick with starters to begin the half before emptying the bench in the fourth quarter. Storm started journeywoman Yvonne Turner at point guard alongside the expected starters Jewel Lloyd and Kia Nurse on the wing, Ezzie Mag-Magor and Mercedes Russell in the front court. Turner has been a steady hand at the point, but rookie Jade Melbourne played 20 minutes off the bench, and Croatian point guard Ivana Dojkic will join the competition later this week. Veterans Sammy Whitcomb and Teresa Plaisance look pretty established as the top 2 reserves. Wide open after that with first-round pick Jordan Horston heavily in the mix. Second-rounder Dulce Fanca-Mengiadu was the highlight of Monday's game, putting up 10 points and 9 boards in 13 minutes to bolster her case for making the Storm's final roster. Storm will be in LA Sunday for what's now being termed a closed scrimmage against the Sparks rather than an official preseason game, then back home to prepare for the start of the regular season 6 days later. So we are getting near Storm basketball.
This is a dark timeline. Hearing all these players' names and not hearing Sue Bird and Brianna Stewart.
I mean, I was thinking about tweeting it next Saturday. It will literally be the first time I've ever gone to a Storm game where Sue Bird won't be on the roster.
It is pretty wild. Where you're like, Yvonne Turner started at point guard.
Yeah.
I'm like, I get it's a preseason game, but wow.
Yeah, look, part of it was who was going to be very difficult for whoever followed Subert at point guard unless that person was Courtney Vandersloot.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like the Storm have gone so far the other direction so as to not put pressure, because no one is going to say that Yvonne Turner is the next Subert, basically, you know? So.
It is. I think the Storm will probably turn things around very quickly. They'll probably draft another superstar. They'll tank a little bit.
That has been their track record. I mean, we'll see what the bottom of the WNBA looks like. It's Vegas and New York are like so far ahead of everyone else that there might be a lot of losses to go around.
It's only 2 teams.
Still, they are very good.
I love that the WNBA's model is so exactly different from soccer.
In terms of like only having 12 teams.
They just never expand.
They are going to expand.
Where are they expanding to?
We will see. The Bay Area is very likely.
Portland they don't have a team in the Bay Area.
They don't have a team in Philadelphia. There's a Houston.
Who is the Bay Area team in soccer?
San Jose.
Oh. So they don't really have any of the real cities in Northern California.
They do not.
All right, we kind of found one. We kind of found
that's true.
one.
I guess San Francisco and Oakland would like be a perfect setting for an MLS team now.
Once the A's leave, all of a sudden it could be like
just somehow convert the Coliseum into like a 20,000 seat stadium.
I mean, that's what you heard about, right? San Diego, the Padres were like, the Chargers are gone. This is our town. And I think with the Raiders gone and the A's gone, it could be a huge soccer team.
At least. Also, it probably could be a pretty big soccer team right now, because I don't know if you've seen those A's attendance figures.
Uh-huh.
They're very low. They are very low.
But not having a team in San Francisco proper, or at least name San Francisco proper, obviously. The team from down there in football does not play in San Francisco. But
the team that does play one of the 2 teams that actually plays in the city of San Francisco does not go by the name San Francisco, you'll recall. Golden State Warriors, yes.
Yeah. Well, they're traitors, obviously, from moving from Oakland. Look, there's nothing good that happens in the Bay Area. We could just throw that out there. Literally nothing good has ever or will ever happen in the Bay Area.
UW, actually, we'll talk about it in a second here. Something good happened in the Bay Area.
Except for Tim Lincecum's career.
UW baseball took 2 out of 3 in Pullman, allowing Washington State precisely 2 runs in each game. They lost the opener 2-1 before taking the next 2 6-2 and 8-2 on the road again this week at Oregon. The Ducks enter this series 4th in the Pac-12 at 14-10, a half game ahead of the 13-10 Huskies, so a chance to pass them in the standings this week.
I really do not agree with losing a game to Wazoo. I thought this was a clean sweep.
College Sports Madness has the Huskies is a first 4 out, for what that's worth.
Okay.
So it's meaningful games being played. Certainly staying on the rundown for now.
There we go.
For the rest of the season, I think I'm comfortable in saying UW baseball. There's only 2 series left in the regular season.
Who do they have?
I believe they're hosting Cal in the final regular season series.
Are they good?
They're not ranked.
All right.
UW softball took 2 out of 3 in the exact same order as baseball at number 6 Stanford. This is a good thing that happened in the Bay Area.
There we go.
Also losing in the opener 2-1 before winning a pitcher's duel 1-0 on Saturday with Kelly Lynch starting, Ruby Malin and Lindsay Lopez coming on as relievers for the combined 4-hit shutout before run-rolling the Cardinal 8-0 in Sunday's series finale with Lopez going the distance in that one. That result was enough for the Huskies to finish second in the Pac-12 at 16-8, 1 game ahead of Utah, 2 games ahead of Stanford and Oregon. Now UW heads to Tucson for the inaugural Pac-12 softball tournament starting Wednesday with the play-in round. The Huskies will open up Thursday at approximately 12:30 p.m. against number 7 seed Oregon State before a potential matchup against the Utes in the semifinals on Friday, with the finals set for Saturday. Huskies took 2 out of 3 in Corvallis during conference play.
This is a 1-game tournament?
1-game tournament.
This is kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Are they doing this in baseball also?
I believe they do it in baseball, yes. But I'm not sure about that. Don't hold me to that.
I'm into it.
So other conferences have been doing this, and Pac-12 now following their lead.
Right on time.
Some sad news from UW women's basketball is former assistant coach Kevin Morrison passed away last week. Morrison was an assistant under both Kevin McGuff and Mike Neighbors from 2011 through 2015, where he helped the Huskies recruit the players that led the team to the 2016 Final Four, including WNBA All-Star Kelsey Plum. Morrison was diagnosed with Alzheimer's in 2020 at age 47. Enjoyed support from the For Mom Foundation, started by former Huskies and Mariners outfielder Braden Bishop after his late mother was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's. Bishop is married to the former Brianna Ruiz, who was recruited to UW by Morrison. So certainly sad news. All right, let's wrap up by talking about the Seahawks, who are hosting rookie camp this weekend. We haven't yet talked about their undrafted signings after the conclusion of the draft, so let's go through a few of some of the interesting ones. And I don't know if you have anyone else to throw out here, but
I mean, I have some thoughts on one of them.
Oh, do you? Oh, yes. Let's start at running back with Louisiana running back Chris Smith. No relation to
That's Peltoncast MVP Chris Smith to you.
Smith had 858 yards and 8 touchdowns a junior before dropping off to 624 yards and 3 last year. Ran a 4.46 40. Also returned kicks at Louisiana, scoring a pair of touchdowns.
I mean, he could end up being the starting running back for the team. Like,
he could end up being the best running back in the NFL.
Exactly. There's almost nobody else that we can name on here as the undrafted. Obviously, it could happen for anybody, but where you're like, there is a chance. There is a wild chance that this player might run for 2,000 yards.
Yes. All right. UCLA wide receiver Jake Bobo. Tristan certainly remembers him scoring 2 touchdowns among his 6 catches for a season-high 142 yards in the Bruins win over UW.
This is the greatest wide receiver on the face of the earth. The Seahawks have somehow come out of this draft with the 2 greatest wide receivers in college football history.
The most dominant, for sure. Both did it at the Rose Bowl.
Exactly. Those 2 performances between Jake Bobo and Jackson Smith and Jigba, people are going to be talking about for decades. And the Seahawks came out of the draft with both of them. I don't know how it happened.
Jake Bobo literally kept the Huskies out of the college football playoff.
Where did Jake Bobo transfer to?
He transferred from Duke. He had played his first 4 years at Duke.
I was just like, I know somewhere deep down I hate this person. But the thing is, like, I still am like, him being on the Seahawks, like Jake Bobo, he will be on the roster in the preseason, and he's going to get some catches. Jake Bobo is somebody who's going to be playing in the NFL in one capacity or another.
Had 817 yards and 7 touchdowns overall playing with Dorian Thompson-Robinson last year. The reason he didn't get drafted, just 4.9 speed in the 40. So third Pelton brother Mike Sean Dugar hypothesized a possible position change to tight end for the 6'4" Bobo.
I would like to hypothesize changing UW's nickname from DBU because they cannot cover somebody who had a 4.9 speed at the 40.
I don't think people are calling him DBU anymore. That was a Jimmy Lake thing.
I know, but like literally uncoverable to this UW secondary. Every single fucking play, Jake Bobo was wide open. I'm a little bit mad they didn't draft DTR. If the Huskies, he went kind of high, right?
I don't remember that off.
If the Seahawks were going to draft any quarterback,
they're never going to draft a quarterback, as far as I can tell.
It's been 1 season, I guess 2 now.
No, when was the last time they drafted a quarterback? It was 2012.
That they drafted a quarterback in any round?
Yeah,
they've not drafted a quarterback since Russell Wilson.
Who do you think they've drafted since then?
That's kind of incredible.
They traded a draft pick for Brett Hundley, another UCLA great.
They didn't draft what's his name from Georgia? He was an undrafted free agent.
I don't know.
Dude who threw for a bunch of yards.
I'm still not sure.
I think it was a Jake. I can't remember.
Jake Fromm?
I don't think it was. Did we have Jake Fromm for a while though?
No. Had Jacob Eason.
I'm thinking of somebody else.
You went to Georgia. Didn't throw for a bunch of yards there though.
No. Jake Bobo is going to be good in the NFL. He's going to play in the NFL.
Dorian Thompson-Robinson went number 40 in the 5th round to the Cleveland Browns.
He didn't go that high.
No.
Wow, we should have drafted. If we would have had the combination of DTR and Jake Bobo and Charbonnet, just all these UCLA players, would have been something.
I mean, the Seahawks' previous pick before that was number 140, where they took defensive tackle Cameron Young, who might start at nose tackle this year.
Yeah, we were excited about him.
We'll talk about some more nose tackles in a second here. But so the one quarterback we know that they signed as an undrafted free agent is Holton Ahlers from East Carolina, who threw for 3,708 yards and 28 touchdowns as a fifth-year senior, just 5 interceptions. Finished third in the American in QBR, but the top three were all within 1 point of each other. So it was basically a statistical tie for first. And he frequently connected with wide receiver C.J. Johnson, who is also going to be in camp with the Seahawks after catching 67 passes for 1,016 yards and 10 touchdowns as a senior. On the defensive line at that position of need, the Seahawks have brought in Florida State nose tackle Robert Cooper, who, per Dane Brugler's The Beast Draft Guide, had the nickname Trench Monster.
All right.
At FSU. And then Rutgers defensive lineman Ifan Maije.
That trench monster thing seems like something in Madden when it has like the
Yes.
base descriptions of like 7 different things that could be about players.
Or it could be one of the descriptions in Danny's scouting report.
Trench monster. No, Danny's way better at that. Don't you dare give Danny
Okay,
not enough credit.
Fair.
Danny would have compared him to
not the
a movie
comparison.
and a basketball player.
I agree with the comparison. No, I'm talking about like the skill. It's like got that dog in him. Trench monster.
Danny would have been like skill position player. Looks like, but I'm not gonna.
At off-ball linebacker, the Seahawks have brought in a number of players, including Cam Bright, who played last season at UW after transferring in from Pitt. Division II All-American Michael Ayers from Ashland, which is in Ohio, I learned. Not the Oregon Ashland, sadly. Patrick O'Connell from Montana, another D2 standout, and Lamont Bishop from Oklahoma State. And then if you want to talk about one player who is most likely undrafted free agent to make the Seahawks roster, long snapper Chris Stoll
There we go.
from Penn State, who has his own Wikipedia page. Is
Really?
a long snapper. I was shocked to discover this information.
Does it seem like it was maybe created by Chris Stoll?
It's unclear. There are some of these teams that have like very devoted fan bases. Like if you look at everyone who at least plays basketball, I'm not sure about football, at Michigan, they've all got like intensely detailed
A lot
logs
less
of their
people play
career.
basketball at Michigan.
Fair. I don't know if I could name who UW's long snapper was. I definitely wasn't making a Wikipedia for them.
Yeah, no.
No, actually, wait. Maybe they've got a long snapper on scholarship, and his name might be Green.
Fair enough.
Any other thoughts you had as we look ahead to this rookie camp? Dynamite drop in mine.
I was just gonna give so much more, context and perspective about Holton Ahlers, but you really took it from me.
Jaden Green is their long snapper. Who's
Wow,
on
did you get that
scholarship.
right?
Yeah,
I'm a little shocked by that one. Well, I guess that's an impressive place to end.
I think Christian Campbell had it in one of his breakdowns recently. So
About
shouts to
UW's
him.
long snapper?
Yeah, we'll just position breakdowns, special teamers,
going deep.
specialists. So,
I saw Jake Bobo was somebody who, to me, I mean, maybe his season wasn't as good as it seemed. Maybe we're a little bit biased because he literally torched this UW secondary.
well, I was gonna say it's especially you because I was at the Clippers preseason game that night, so I streamed part of the game and was also following. That was that game, of course, took place the night the Mariners clinched a playoff spot for the first time in 21 years.
I was the only person in the city of Seattle still mad.
You were so furious.
I swear to God. I was expecting a perfect season. And you know what? I was not far off.
You weren't far off.
Let me just say, if we can go back in time, if UW is in the College World Playoff, we're winning a game. We're winning a game. Give us fucking TCU right now, today.
They weren't going to give you TCU. They were.
But I'm sure, yes. They would have had to replace TCU. UW was
No, they
better
would have
team.
replaced Ohio State, wouldn't they?
Was Ohio State last? TCU lost in the conference championship, and that team was garbage.
Yeah, and they played Michigan. Michigan was the 2 seed. TCU was the 3 seed. Ohio State was the 4. We would have played Georgia.
Yeah, I don't think we're beating Georgia.
Yeah, that's also. I also don't think that.
I
agree with your assessment.
I do not think we're beating Georgia. But give us either Ohio State or TCU. I think UW beats one of those two teams.
I don't think they beat Ohio State.
I
know Jackson Smith and Jigba was not healthy. It was not participating, at least at that point. TCU, though. Bring on TCU.
Yeah, okay, how about that? Maybe we could just settle on that, is that UW would have beaten TCU. They ended up playing in the College Football Playoff final. Like,
it is true.
But it was because of Jake Bobo. Cal Raleigh hits the home run. We're making bobbleheads for it. It's great. And I'm there at home saying, this was going to happen eventually. The UW loss to UCLA was not going to happen eventually. And it was tainted because of some call that I don't remember, but I'm still mad about.
See, I was
know the one.
Not really.
I think there was a pass interference maybe that should have been called. I don't know. It lingers somewhere deep down in the darkest pits of my memories, but I'm still haunted about it.
I was on a podcast when the Kings lost a couple in a row before they finally officially clinched their playoff spot this year. And I was like, look, if anyone can understand what Kings fans are going right through right now, it is me, because it isn't done until it's done.
It was a great moment from Kyle Raleigh, but
there was just me among people in NBA media, to be clear. There were many people who are much more invested in the Mariners' 21-year playoff drought than I was.
Literally, somebody else would have hit that home run or won a game at some other point had Cal Raleigh not hit that home run.
If they had won, just a 6-1 game, it would not have been as memorable.
Exactly.
This is to your point. We saw the darkness.
There's nothing that happens in Seattle that doesn't happen in literally every other major city in the entire world.
Well, except for MLS in San Francisco. On that note,
thanks for listening.
Thanks.